In this video, we're going to learn about a few menu options. We will learn how to create a regular menu like File, Edit, View, Project, etc. We're going to learn how to add that to our own Visual Studio program right here. We'll also show you how to enable a similar type of menu, except it'll pop up when you right-click. So, first of all, menu that you use by going to the top of the screen like so. And secondly, a menu that shows up when you right-click on the form. So the first one on the top of the form is going to be called a menu strip. So I'll just double-click on the menu strip menu icon like so. And it'll add the menu strip control down here. So if you want to modify the menu strip control, and for some reason if you don't see it up here, like so, then just click on menu strip control down here and it'll show up here. Now to add items in this menu, it's actually really easy. You just type in here and add your first top level menu item. We'll do File, and we'll do a subcategory of Exit. And then the second one's going to be, let's call it Format, and we'll have a subcategory of Font and Color, because later on in this video we're going to show you how to create the ability to change the font and the color while you're running the program of some label or some text or something else. Now, to do this with the right-click menu, you'll need to use something called a context menu strip. So double-click on that, double left-click. And context menu strips, they're made more or less the same way as the menu strip control, except instead of being horizontal like so, the context menu strip is vertical. So we'll want to do File first, and then below that's going to be your second top level item, which is Format. Format's going to have Font and Color, whereas File is going to have just Exit. Now you're probably thinking, oh yeah, this is great, this is all we need to get this working. And you're actually wrong. There's one more thing you need to do before the context menu strip works. So click on the form itself, so make sure you're actually selecting the form object. And then go ahead and Properties pane, and you will see Context Menu Strip as one property. And in this option you need to select the Context Menu Strip dialog, which matches this thing right here, down there. Once you've done that, your program should run and work properly. So let's take a look and see what this looks like. Okay, so here's our regular menu, and we have Exit, Font, Color, etc. And if we right-click like so, we have again File, which has Exit, and Format, which has both font and color. So pretty simple, I think. That's how you make those two types of menus. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, so we create our menus, but the buttons don't actually do anything because you click on the button, nothing happens. Same thing, nothing happens. So in order to give function or to assign an action to these buttons, you initialize them the exact same way as you would a regular button, is you just double left click on it. So double left click on Exit, and it creates your event method. So you can do this dot close. Pretty simple. Now for the format for font and color, I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and change the font and color while your program is running. But first you have to write some code to set up this arrangement. So I'm going to create methods for both font and color individually. So initialize the first one, and then initialize the second one. So we got our three event methods, And if we want, we can go ahead and initialize the context menu, the exit button for that, and the context menu for font, and the context menu for color. So there we go. We have all 6 of our event methods. These 5 are for the, these 3 are for the menu strip itself. And these ones are for the context menu strip. So I'm just going to focus on these 3 menu strip items first because we're going to do something a little bit different with these 3. But we'll make that more obvious in a later point in this video. So in order to create our font and color menu items, what we need to do is I'm just going to create a regular placeholder. I'm just going to do like a regular everyday label and put somewhere on the form. And I'm just going to put some default placeholder text. So this text will have its color and font updated. And we'll go ahead and increase the size to make it easier to read. So font size, we'll make that something like 26 or 24 or whatever. Let's see if I can resize this as well. No, I don't think I can. Let's go ahead and change auto size to be false. And I can auto size it. There we go. Let's go ahead and name our label. So I'm just going to call it LBL font color. I should say font and color, but whatever. Okay, so now we have our object. We know what's called this label object. Before we go back into our code, we need to go and add 2 more things to our form. First one, something called a color dialog, and the second one is called a font dialog. So you need to add these first, and they appear down here and here. All right, back in our code, we have all of our event methods. So again, reminder, these are for the menu strip. And these are for the context menu strip, which is what happens when you do the right-clicking. So I'm just going to push these down just to make it more obvious what we'll be working on. So to get our font and color dialogs to work properly, we start off with an if statement. And notice that this right here, this color dialog I'm starting off with, it will actually match this color dialog right here. And actually, you know what? I just realized I put this in the wrong method up here. That's supposed to be for the font. So let's change it to that. That's better. Okay, so we're going to do show dialog, and we're going to do does not equal, and dialog result dot cancel. In layman's terms, what this means is that as long as you're not trying to get out of the color dialog window, which we'll see later on, it'll execute some code. And what we'll do is we will reference our label that we want to update the color for, and change it. So it's called, we're going to update the for-color property, I should say, and it'll equal whatever color is selected by our color dialog menu. And that's all you have to do. And if you want other labels or other text boxes to have their colors updated, then you just repeat the same line of code, but you just replace this with the new name or the name of the other object. So before I move on to fonts, I want to show you what this looks like so you know what I mean by dialog. or a dialog menu or dialog options. So in our code or in our application, let's click on the color button which we just programmed. And this is what I mean. This thing that pops up, this is what gets shown when we do the little show dialog whatever thing down here. And we can go ahead and update the color to, let's say, light green maybe. And it updates the color like so. Pretty simple. And now we'll do the exact same thing, except we will do it for font, which I tried to do it first, but accidentally did the color instead. So fonts, it's mostly the same thing, just a few small differences. And that should work. Let's start the program and see if it does work. I go back to our format and go font, and there we go. That's all we gotta do. And then we can select bold. We can change the font type, the font size, and it gets updated. So, yeah, pretty simple. Now we have these controls set up for our menu strip, but we do not have them yet set up for the context menu strip. So how do we do that? Well, if we wanted to, we could just go ahead and copy and paste this code into here, like so, and that would work fine. There wouldn't be any problems. But it's not a lot of code, but it's more code than what we would prefer. I may have mentioned this before, but one of the main purposes of programming is to try to find ways to minimize the amount of code written in your program, because the more code you have, the bigger the size of the software, which means when your program is being downloaded or bought by somebody else, that would mean that hopefully there's going to be a smaller download. It's because your code is more efficient, ideally more efficient. So instead of just copying and pasting this code down here, what we're going to do is we're going to call an event method. So let's start with the exit button actually. So right here, exit tool strip menu. Actually, you know what? This really wouldn't apply because this code is actually shorter than if we use my method. So let's start with the color option instead. So what we're going to do is we're going to in the past we've called methods, but the methods we've called in the past have been our own methods or our own functions that we've created on our own. What we're going to do now is we're going to call an actual event method, a method that we did not create on our own. It's a method that was created by Visual Studio automatically. So to call an event method, so basically what happens is when we click the when we click our context menu strip button for color, like so, when we click that, what it's going to do is it's going to activate this event method, and this event method is then going to go ahead and call this event method up here, the event method that's assigned to the menu strip item. This way we don't have to duplicate this code in both the menu strip method and the context menu strip method. So here's how you do that. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, paste it down here, and then get rid of a few of the keywords like so, add a semicolon, and that's it. So yeah, let's look at the program and just make sure it works properly. It will, but let's just see what it looks like. So right click, go to Format, and Color, and there we go. The color options have been provided to us. Let's make it orange, maybe. And if we try to do the same thing by doing the font instead of color, we get a whole lot of nothing because we haven't programmed the button yet. So let's go ahead and do the same thing to program the context menu strip for the font. So copy this method, copy the event method, paste it here, get rid of the extra information we don't need, add a semicolon, and we're done. And then lastly, for the exit button in our context menu, what we could do is just take this code, copy it, put it in here. Same thing we did earlier. And there's nothing wrong with that, we could do that. But keep in mind that this code right here, it's longer than the actual code inside the original method right here. What I have highlighted here is much shorter than what I have highlighted here. And because we usually want to do what's shorter, or what takes the least amount of space, then in this case it actually might be better to use this code instead. And there we have it. So let's go ahead and do a final demonstration with everything. We have in our menu strip, we're not going to do exit yet, but we have font. Let's just make it bold. Oh wait, hold on. It's down to 8, that's weird. Alright, that's better. And then we'll do color, we'll make it orange. And we'll do the same thing with the context menu, we'll have font. Let's increase, let's change the style of the font. And then we'll change the color. We'll make that one red. Actually, no, let's make it, was that pink or purple? Something, I don't know. And then, of course, we can do the exit button, like so. And that's it. So that's all I wanted to show you in this video. A quick demonstration of how to create menu controls and how to allow your form user to update the color or font style of items in your form. Hopefully this video has been useful, and I'll see you in the next video.